It's not looking good for the DC universe, and we don't even have a film or television show or anything out for it. But what we have is James Gunn telling us that Tom King is an integral part of the DC universe, and that is all but a death knell for the potential cinematic television universe. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you do not miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. James Gunn says former CIA agent and pusher of immorality, Tom King, is, quote, integral part of the DCU. It is indeed a death knell for the DC universe. This is what James Gunn said on Threads earlier this month. He was asked what his favorite comic book of the year was, and he responded by saying his favorite comic was Human Target by Tom King and Greg Smallwood. Already a massive red flag, as the entire book is filled with degeneracy, which we will get to in a little bit here. He was then asked by another user, is there any truth to the rumors that Tom King is working with you on developing the Supergirl film? Those were not rumors, as we'll show, but this is what James Gunn responded. He says, Tom is an integral part of the DC universe, not just Woman of Tomorrow. He's one of the first people I show the Superman script asking for notes. He's included in various ways in numerous other projects, including Woman of Tomorrow. And yes, obviously, answering the question on if there are any other of his acclaimed books runs you'd consider collaborating with him to bring to the DCU. Huge red flag right there as well. But as I said, Gunn had previously confirmed that King was indeed working with him for the DC universe. This was in an interview with DC.com back in January, maybe February, when they announced the DC universe slate. So while discussing the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow film, Gunn said this. This is based on Tom King and Bilquis Evely's wonderful comic. Tom has been one of the architects of this entire situation. He's been one of the guys in the room with us, along with 4 or 5 other writers. I love his take on these characters. He just turns them slightly to be something very unique. That's one way of describing degenerate. But he went on and talked about the film, saying, in our story, we have Superman who was sent to Earth and raised by incredibly loving parents. Kara was on Krypton. She was on a piece of Krypton that drifted away from the planet. And she lived there for the first 14 years of her life in a horrible situation where she watched everyone around her die. So she's a much harsher and more effed up Supergirl than you've been used to thus far. Again, clearly confirming that it's a movie not about Supergirl, but about Tom King's fan fiction about Supergirl. Just stupid. Who wants to see this? No one. But Gunn's praise of King is deeply concerning, and his revelation that the Human Target is one of his favorite comic books does not bode well for the DC universe at all. And the fact that he is an architect, one of the 4 or 5 people working on the DC universe, is a massive red flag. So as I said earlier, we would get to why the Human Target is an absolute garbage comic. In the miniseries, King made the heroic Green Lantern Guy Gardner. Remember, this guy is a Green Lantern. He's a Green Lantern. So whatever you think of his personality, he is a hero and he does the right and just thing. Sure, he's a hothead, but he's not what Tom King depicts him as, which is an obsessive, jealous ex-lover of Ice. He even turns him into a domestic abuser. After Gardner attempted to strike Ice, King has Ice freeze Gardner, and then he has the Human Target punch Gardner in the face, killing him by shattering him into numerous pieces. So there's a Human Target punching him in the face. This is what James Gunn thinks is one of the best comic book series of 2023. This is the guy who's supposedly crafting the DC universe, fundamentally just humiliating, destroying a famous DC Comics character. This is what James Gunn thinks is the best DC comic of 2023. This is the guy, again, who's creating the DC universe. Huge red flag, because this is absolutely sick and disgusting and should repulse anyone. But it gets worse. Immediately after murdering Guy Gardner, which is what the Human Target and Ice do, that is murder, King heavily implies that Ice and the Human Target then commit fornication. It's utterly gross, disgusting, and degenerate. You can see it right here. She turns to me, that perfume, we go upstairs to her bed. Clearly implying what happens there. And this, again, is what James Gunn thinks is the best comic of 2023. One has to truly question his judgment and morality. if he claims this smut is the best comic book of 2023. And we all know that James Gunn has his own history where he was fired from Marvel Studios. So I don't think James Gunn is the right person to be leading the DC universe. And this is just more evidence of it. And the fact that he is praising Tom King is just another piece of evidence. King recently upped the ante on the amount of depravity and degeneracy in his works with Wonder Woman #4. The book sees Wonder Woman lying to a young boy who has seemingly self-diagnosed himself with gender dysphoria. The obvious conclusion is that King is pushing the evil lie of transgender ideology that men can become women, and vice versa. It is a lie, and it is not possible. God made men men, and he made women women. Nevertheless, Tom King is trying to lie to people through Wonder Woman #4, push this evil lie. Remember, this guy is a former CIA. So one has to wonder, is this coming from the CIA? Is he still working for the CIA? What's going on here? It also appears to have disgusting material in it. There's a panel of Cheetah who looks like she's performing some kind of act on herself. It also is this panel happens as Wonder Woman is condemning God and describes him as a hypocrite. Obviously, King uses the gods, but he's clearly attacking God and Jesus Christ. If you read the comic, because Jack talks about God and his God is punishing him. And then Wonder Woman goes into a whole rant about the gods. So sick and disgusting. You can see the panel there. I'm not going to stay on it too long because it's sick. Should never be in a DC comic. Should never be published for children. Tom King should be ashamed of himself. And then he attacks motherhood. Oh, Jack, can you imagine me, a mother in this world? Does any child deserve that fate? Sick. Sick. This is anti-life. This is death cult behavior. Tom King's pushing it. Former CIA agent. So if this is the person you are praising as one of the architects of the DC universe and someone who's integral to the universe, I think the universe is better off not existing. This is trash that no one should be reading. It's written by a former CIA agent. Can't emphasize that enough. Whose only goal appears to be to indoctrinate readers into disgusting, degenerate, and disordered lifestyles by explicitly lying to them via the comic book medium. So I think the DC universe is better off not even existing if this is the type of garbage that is going to be created by immoral people like Tom King and James Gunn. Those are my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.